Hello, I'm Jeremy Cluff. Today we're going to be going over the proper position to put your saddle on your horse. The last video I did was on the sequence of saddling, and I got a lot of feedback from people wanting to know exactly where they should put the saddle on the horse. So we're going to go over that real quickly today. Now every horse is different. Every breed is different. Some horses, the saddle has to sit further back, some has to sit more forward. But most horses that people ride on a regular basis, quarter horses, thoroughbreds, Arabians, Morgans, that type of horse, are pretty similar. I was riding a Frisian horse the other day. My saddle had to sit further back because the Frisian neck comes off the withers a little further back and a little higher. So there's some differences there. But for the most part, we're going to go over how to position your saddle on the horse for everyday riding. Now Cowboy here, he's pretty good, calm quarter horse. He's going to help us out today. And he's got a really good conformation, so it's going to help really show. Now first thing you want to notice on a horse is where the high point of the wither is. Right here is the high point of his wither. So when I put the pad on, I want to put the front of that pad right over the top of the high point of the wither. And that's where you start everything from. There's a line that runs from the high point of the wither to the back of the horse's foreleg here. So we want to have that line pretty much even with the front of my pad. Now when the saddle goes on, it's going to sit a little bit far back of there. And the reason for that is you want a little bit of pad exposed, that way your saddle's not rubbing on the shoulder. But pretty much the front of your swells of your saddle, you want to have about 2 inches back of that high point of the wither. So I can put my fingers here under my pad and see where that's at, and I'm pretty much there. Now when you do this, I always like to bring my pad up a little bit, that way it's not pulling on the withers and pulling on the hair of the horse right here, so that there's a little comfort. Now when I put the cinch on, and like I said before, it's different for different breeds and different types and different conformations of horses. But for most of these, with the regular Western saddle, that straight line is going to come right there. That way your cinch is going to be about 2 inches off of the horse's foreleg, off their armpit there. Now there's differences too if you use a balance ride saddle. Some saddles, they have the cinch sit a little bit further back. But every horse is built with a place for a saddle to fit. And no matter where you set it, that saddle is going to try and work to that point. So things will move around a little bit, but if you don't set it right to begin with, when that happens, it's going to make discomfort in the horse's back or on the girth or on the cinch area because that saddle is going to move a little bit. So it's important to get it in the right place every time. So when I put the saddle on, I'm 2 inches behind the point of the wither, which puts my cinch about 2 inches off the horse's armpit. Now I don't ever tighten it up right hard at first. Now the back cinch, a lot of people ask me how tight the back cinch should be. Now if you're roping or you're working hard or you're doing a lot of heels, you want that pretty snug. Now for the most part, when I first saddle a horse, I want to be able to put my fingers between it and the horse's belly. Now this horse is kind of blowed up a little bit. They all do it. They hold their air in. Once you warm them up, lunge them for a minute or walk them for a few minutes, they're going to breathe and that's going to loosen up. And if you notice, right here I've got it kind of snug, but if I got on this horse and went to riding him right now, in about a quarter of a mile or so, there's going to be a 2 or 3 inch gap there, and I might even need to bring it up a little bit more. But it's important to not make that too tight right at first because you don't want to irritate the horse and cause him to buck you off. Now on the breast collar, I prefer a pulling style collar, which is what this is called. And the reason I use these, and they're actually getting pretty popular with a lot of other clinicians right now, but the reason I use a pulling style breast collar is because the comfort, I'm all about comfort of the horse. Now if you put a regular roping style collar, it comes off the D-ring and it comes across the shoulder of the horse, which is going to restrict some movement in that horse's front end. By pulling this pulling collar comes off the swells of the saddle and it runs right down the break of the neck. It gives them that movement that they need to really get out and pull. So that's why I prefer them. A big thing you got to watch for on the breast collar is you want to make sure that you're not up in the airway here. See, I'm a little snug, so I'm gonna let this out a notch on both sides just to get that down out of his airway because I don't want to choke him off at all, especially if I'm pulling a log or if I'm roping, pulling a steer or a cow. I don't want to get this in his throat and choke him off. So you want to make sure you got your bottom a little snug, but not too tight. Your back cinch isn't too much. Everything in line, 2 inches behind the point of the wither. If you ever have any questions on how to do this or anything about what I do with my videos, if you go to my Facebook page, you search Horse Tamer Jeremy Cluff, you can ask me any question you want and I'll get back to you as soon as I can with an answer. Or if you have any ideas on a video you'd like to see or a demonstration you'd like me to do, go ahead and shoot me a line and I'll sure try and get that on as quick as I can. I want everybody to have all the knowledge that they can, because knowledge is key with having horses. The more you know, the more beneficial it is to you and your horse. Because if, like I always say, if you're not having fun, you shouldn't be riding. So until next time, enjoy the ride.